Welcome to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, founder of the Reiki Business Collective and creator of the Build Your Reiki Business program, sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Greetings, welcome, and thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. It's Christian. Again, so honored and excited to welcome you to another episode. In this week's episode, we're talking about lessons learned in our Reiki business. Lessons learned the hard way. I recently asked the Reiki Business Collective, what is one lesson you've learned the hard way in your Reiki business? And when I say the hard way, I mean that these are lessons that we've had to learn through our own personal experience. Maybe we've had to have multiple hard experiences in order to learn the lesson, but these are things that did not come easy to us in the learning in our Reiki business. The Reiki business journey is full of challenges. It's definitely full of lessons. And some of those lessons we need to learn through some challenging experiences. I know I've had this happen again and again on my Reiki business journey, and I know it's going to happen again and again as well. That's part of the journey and part of the experience. And so as I share some of these lessons learned, some of the lessons I've learned, some of the lessons Reiki Business Collective members have learned the hard way, I want to encourage us that when we are learning these lessons the hard way, it's okay. It doesn't mean that we're doing anything wrong. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with us as a business owner. It simply means that having a business is not easy. Having a business has its challenges, and having a business has lessons to be learned and indeed learned in challenging ways. And so, if you hear yourself in these lessons, if you too have learned these lessons the hard way, definitely you are not alone. Lesson number 1. As said by one Reiki Business Collective member, it takes time to get your name out there. Be patient. Or, as one other Reiki Business Collective member put it, just because you hang the proverbial shingle up on the door, not very many people know you're open. Or, if I build it, they don't always come. And so this is a very challenging lesson that many of us learn on our Reiki business journey the hard way. I know from my own experience, and probably you do too, that we often believe that if we create the business, that people are going to come. I know that when I expanded my Reiki business, so as I was looking to grow my Reiki business, I knew myself how amazing Reiki was. I knew how wonderful it had been for the friends and clients I had helped with Reiki sessions. And so I thought, well, as I expand, I'm not really going to need to put the word out there too much because everybody knows how great this is, right? Wrong. It does take time to get your name out there. It does take time to get the word out there about Reiki. And so the Reiki Business Collective member who says, be patient, is so right. This is a lesson that we often need to learn the hard way, and that often all of us need to learn the hard way. And that really is part of the process. And so as you are working to put the word out there, as you are working to talk about Reiki and talk about your business and talk about how Reiki can help them, it's important for us all to be patient, to know that the growing is a process, the sharing is a process, and that just because we say our business is now open or we hang out our shingle does not mean that people are going to flock to us and to our Reiki business. Now, of course, this can happen, sure, absolutely, but the chances are pretty good that it's going to take some time, it's going to take some effort, and that we need to keep moving forward and to be patient during that process. But for sure, this is a hard lesson to learn and one that really practically all of us need to learn for ourselves. Another lesson learned from a Reiki Business Collective member, quote, "Get very clear on who you are and what your purpose is. The more you understand your authentic energy and vibration, the Reiki will flow and express in a way that is uniquely yours." This is a great lesson, and it is often a hard lesson to learn. As another Reiki Business Collective member said, it was a hard lesson to learn about being authentic and about showing up as themselves and uniquely as themselves. And so often on our Reiki business journey, as we are starting and even growing our Reiki business, we often have an idea of who we're supposed to be or how we're supposed to show up or what we think people want. Our audience, our clients, potential clients and students, what we think they want and what we think we're supposed to be. And this thinking of who we're supposed to be and trying to be who we're supposed to be as a business owner or as a Reiki practitioner means that we're not showing up in the ways that are going to attract the clients and the students who actually truly want us and want our authenticity. And so when we get very clear about who we are and what we're here to do, that's going to allow us to show up authentically. And that authenticity is what is going to bring in our true aligned clients, the clients and the students who really want to interact with and work with us. This is a hard lesson to learn so often because of the images that we see on social media, the posts from other Reiki practitioners, even other successful Reiki practitioners who we say, oh, in order to be successful, I need to look like this practitioner, or I need to sound like this practitioner, or I need to do what this practitioner is doing. And while that might seem to make sense, it's not the best choice because it means that we are not being our authentic selves and are therefore not attracting the clients who want to interact with our authentic selves. Let's do a service to our clients and students. Let's do a service by being who we really are, by being our true and authentic selves, because it's by being our true and authentic selves that the right clients and students can come to us. When we are not being our authentic selves, that means that we're going to attract the students and the clients who aren't aligned with us. And when we do that, we're doing a disservice to the client, to the student, because they think that they're working with someone else. They think that they're getting someone else. So let's spend the time getting clear on who we are. Let's spend the time in reflecting on what our purpose is, and in, as this Reiki Business Collective member says, understanding our authentic energy and vibration. Now, I also want to say that this is a hard lesson to learn. This does take time to learn. So what that means is that as we are starting and growing our Reiki business, we're going to have times of inauthenticity. We're going to have times of not being sure what our unique purpose is, what our vibration is, and the energy that we want to put out and who we are. That's part of the life journey, and it's part of the Reiki business journey too. And so I want to encourage us to be kind and gentle with ourselves as we are working our way through the clarity. Clarity takes time. Clarity comes from doing and comes from taking action. And so that means that in order to get clear, in order to understand our authentic energy and vibration, in order to know what our purpose is, we need to take action. And that action often means taking action that feels inauthentic, that doesn't feel aligned. Because when we take action that doesn't feel aligned, we get a better idea of what is aligned. Now, I know I've done this on my Reiki business journey where I've done things that haven't felt authentic. Maybe I've marketed in a way that didn't feel aligned or that felt kind of icky. And it was in the doing of that that I was able to say, oh, that didn't feel good. That didn't feel aligned. I didn't like the way I showed up in that instance, in that moment. And that was information that helped me to realize what did feel aligned and what did feel authentic. And so, yes, this is a hard lesson to learn, and it is a necessary lesson to learn on our Reiki business journey, as are most of the hard lessons, the ones that we can really only learn from our own experience and our own doing and our own challenges. Now, this is a great hard lesson learned, this next one, number 3. From a Reiki Business Collective member, because it is one that so many Reiki practitioners learn the hard way. And it is because so many of us believe it's something that we need to do right away. And that is waste money starting a web page when you are first starting out. When we're first starting our Reiki business, there is the real belief that we need to have a beautiful website and we need to have this right away. And so often we will spend a lot of money on this beautiful website, when the truth is, not too many people are even seeing it in the first place. At least not when you are first starting out. And so some Reiki practitioners might spend hundreds, even thousands of dollars on a brand new website, paying someone to design it and to build it and to go through all of the branding, everything, the colors and the logo, the designs, and all of it, just to have a beautiful website that no one's visiting. I talk about this in a past episode on website mistakes. I'll drop that link down below. And I also really do advocate starting out with very cheap, even free website options for your first website or your first space on the web to send potential clients and students to. But many Reiki practitioners do make this mistake and learn this lesson the hard way by investing lots of money into a website up front rather than investing that time and that energy in more low cost, cheaper, and even more effective alternatives, like simply talking about Reiki, making connections, having conversations. Those don't cost anything. But if this is you too, starting a Reiki business and immediately pouring lots of money into a beautiful website, you're not alone. It is a very common lesson that is learned the hard way. And so if/when this is you, I want to encourage you to release judgment of yourself. It is very common. And again, one of the reasons it is common is because we might look at the websites of established Reiki practitioners and see these beautiful websites and say, oh, I want to be successful like them. I need to have a beautiful website too, without realizing that you're looking at the beautiful website now, years later, when you haven't seen their first website. Your first website is not going to be your last. And especially because, like I mentioned, it takes time to get clear on who you are and what your purpose is, not only in your life, but definitely in your Reiki business. It means that your website is going to change, and there's a good chance it's going to change in the first couple of years as you are growing and learning and your Reiki business journey is unfolding. And so please, if you haven't learned this lesson yet the hard way, I encourage you, tune into that podcast episode on website mistakes. I'll even drop a link down below to a free website that you can get started with. Next, lesson learned the hard way from a Reiki Business Collective member. Never reduce your prices because someone can't pay your price. You will always regret it because they are the very clients you don't need to deal with. Now, I don't know about you, but I learned this lesson the hard way too. I had a client who years ago negotiated the price. I said, this is the price, this is the cost for a coaching session. And she said, I can't pay that, but I can pay this X amount. And that was at a point on my Reiki business journey where I thought, oh, I could use the money, quite frankly. Thankfully, that's not the case in my Reiki business any longer. But at that point, I was like, well, I could use the money, and I want to help this person, and so okay, I'll do it. And of course, that client was not a good client. That session was not a good session. The client ended up going over the time limit because I was unable to jump in and end the session because the client just kept going and going and talking, and it was a draining session. So I learned this lesson the hard way myself. Thankfully, I didn't have to learn it again and again. I only needed to experience it once. But let's admit that this is a lesson that many of us do learn the hard way. We are helpers. We want to help people. We want to share Reiki. We have good hearts, and we're not in this for the money. And let's also be real that sometimes we might want to reduce our prices in order for someone to book a session because we are having the challenge with the inflow of clients and the finances. But when we do that, we're bringing in clients who aren't honoring our prices, aren't respecting our boundaries. Prices are a boundary, right? When we set a price, that's a boundary. We say, this is what it costs. And when we have a client who wants a discount, tries to negotiate, what that's saying is that they are not respecting those boundaries. Now, I'm not going to say that discounting or reducing our prices is always a bad thing. We can indeed do it, and we can do it with thought and intention and strategy. But when we have a particular client who comes to us and is asking for a discount, is asking to pay less than others, I encourage us to take a step back and really think about it because, as this Reiki Business Collective member says, you will always regret it. Well, maybe you won't always regret it. This practitioner does. But you get the idea here. because they are often the very clients who are going to be more challenging to work with. Now, there were plenty of lessons learned the hard way from Reiki Business Collective members. These are just a few of them. But this final one, don't give up. And if you do, try again, because you miss 100% of the shots you don't make. Absolutely don't give up. This is so often a lesson that we can and do learn the hard way on our Reiki business journey. But through all of the hard lessons, I want to encourage us that they are part of the journey. And the hard lessons that we learn on the Reiki business journey can make us want to give up and can make us want to quit. But it's when we quit that we can't grow, that we can't move forward, that we can't have the Reiki business of our dreams. And maybe your Reiki business isn't the Reiki business of your dreams right now. Maybe you're struggling. Maybe it's challenging. Maybe things aren't growing and moving in the way in which you might want them to. But if we give up, if we quit, then we can't ever have the Reiki business that is helping more people, that is growing and expanding, that is the Reiki business of our dreams. And if you do give up, yes, indeed, it's very common to take a break on our Reiki business journey, to stop, to take a step back. I have a whole podcast episode on restarting your Reiki business. I'll drop that one down below as well. I have that podcast because it is so common to take a break and to restart. But if we do quit, if we do stop, if we do take a step back, then we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to have the Reiki business of our dreams. As this Reiki Business Collective member says, we're not taking the shots. And if you're not taking the shots, you're not going to hit them. It's not easy starting and growing a Reiki business. And there are lots and lots of hard lessons to learn along the way. But indeed, you are not alone on the journey. So, what are some hard lessons that you have learned on your Reiki business journey? Have you learned any of these lessons the hard way too? Join us in the Reiki Business Collective Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Reiki Biz. Sending lots of blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Thanks for tuning in to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend. Learn more about the Build Your Reiki Business program at standingstoneshealing.com/build. Sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business.